Speaking of political parties, one of the things that you said at the convention, which is, as you have seen, has gotten a lot of people talking, is that you used to witness in some political parties where it was an official item on the agenda that we have to discuss how we're going to steal government money. Are you talking about the EFF and the MK party?
No, look, let me tell you something and have to clarify that much more firmly. So the genesis of that remark and statement, which I said that all the existing political parties, I actually even emphasized literally all the political parties, they want to protect the tender system because they view it as a basis to raise revenue for electoral purposes. All the political parties, literally all the political parties that are represented in parliament and they are in government, when they discuss a funding model as to how are they going to finance the elections, they always talk, including the ruling parties that have been in office for a very long time, they always discuss that let us go and issue this tender or that tender, let us shift money so that we're able to finance our electoral fortunes in terms of what happens. I don't want to talk about the exact details, and they know themselves, the leaders of all political parties, that there's not a single political party that exists in South Africa today that has not discussed that it must go and give so and so a tender so that this person can give us money for electoral purposes in the manner that it is. That is the phenomena that exists in South Africa. That is why we are saying as Afrika Mayibuye movement that let us commit in policy, in practice, in real determination, a systematic approach to abolish tenders and replace them with a capable state that will be able to deliver services to our people. That is the point that we are raising, that the tendering system is somehow used to fund political parties, and it is not being replaced because people want to justify it as a basis of funding political parties. And all political parties that are represented in South Africa, they use tender money to fund their electoral processes.
What have you done in the processes where this matter was raised? Because you said, I've sat in official meetings and this is what has been discussed. Did you expose it? Do you not feel the responsibility to raise it with the authorities?
So do you know, in all my political life, whether it's in the ANC, whether in the EFF or MK, I've always argued for the de-tenderization of the state. So the discussion document, which was called the Clarion Call to Economic Freedom Fighters, which was the discussion document for the 23rd National Congress of the African National Congress, which I anchored in terms of perspective, had in the characterization of a developmental state the removal of tenders. So when I was still in the ANC, I argued very strongly. And part of my spiritual detachment from the ANC was its insistence on tenders. Same in the founding principles of the economic freedom fighters. If you look into the 7 cardinal pillars, there's a pillar that speaks to building state capacity with the aim of abolishing tenders. Even when there was participation in government, all the instructions that we gave was about abolishment of tenders. So I've always had a very consistent and clear view. Even in MK, in the constitution of MK, which we played a role in shaping, there is the de-tenderization of the state. So in all the instances where we got to participate, we've always said that let us build a progressive developmental state that has got capacity to fulfill its own functions.
So to clarify then, you didn't mean that there are political parties that have conspired to commit crime by trying to see how they can steal money from government? Because now you're telling us about the tender system. I said all political parties sit down to want to source money from the tendering system. That's conspiracy to commit fraud.
That is something else.
But you accept that is conspiracy to commit fraud. If in the EFF,
that is something,
when the
that is
MK party,
something
they sit
else.
down and they discuss this is how much we have to steal from government.
Even the ANC.
Yeah, but do you accept that is conspiracy?
Even in the DA.
Do you accept it's conspiracy?
It might be conspiracy to commit crime.
Do you accept though that you also have a responsibility to report that
so
as a citizen?
Let me give you an example that the Democratic Alliance in the Western Cape now, they are going to be issuing tenders now, and the people that had responded to a request for proposal, some of them were approached to say that if you commit to give the Democratic Alliance money for these following purposes, we are going to get the tender.
And that doesn't make
And that
it
is
right.
happening. It doesn't make it
Yes.
right. And that is why some of us consistently, without fail, always stand opposed to such. And
But you have not reported it, Floyd, to the police. That's if you accept that it's a conspiracy to commit crime, as a citizen, you have a responsibility to report that.
This is what happens. So in instances where we will be able to demonstrate that this one influenced this for this particular purpose, but because they all do that, we will, of course, approach the relevant law enforcement authorities. But the fact of the matter, which cannot be denied by any rational and sensible leader in South Africa, is that as part of funding of political parties that are represented in government, they discuss the manipulation of tenders and sometimes the abuse of tenders. Like the fact that, remember that the decision, if people submit a tender and it's the same price, it's the same specification, it's the same capacity, it's an individual choice as to who you choose.
All right.
Some, even without even doing something legalistically wrong, they choose those that are going to give them money in return to fund their electoral fortunes. That always exists in all the parties, and that is what we stand opposed to as Afrika Mayibuye movement.
All right. Floyd Shivambu, thank you so much for making time for us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having us, and we'll always be available to engage.